This cytoplasm consists of various smaller cell organelles which we'll be discussing one by one. But first of all, let us try to relate what exactly we have studied till now. We have seen that when we are talking about particular cells, whether it is an animal cell or it is a plant cell, it consists of three basic structures. One is the plasma membrane, which is also called the cell membrane. Second important thing present in all type of cells is the nucleus. And third thing present in all type of cells is cytoplasm. In plant cells, we have one separate extra part that is called the cell wall. We saw the differences between cell wall and plasma membrane. Then we talked about the nucleus of the cell. This nucleus has a nuclear envelope containing nuclear pores which allow the entry and exit of material between nucleoplasm and cytoplasm. It consists of a living fluid substance called nucleoplasm, which further consists of two things. One is nucleolus and another thing is chromatin material. This nucleolus further contains RNA, that is ribonucleic acid, and it is called the factory. Nucleolus is called the factory of ribosomes, and ribosomes and RNA, they basically help in protein synthesis. Talking about chromatin material, when the cell is about to divide, this chromatin material, which is exactly a thin thread-like intertwined mass, it gets organized and condensed to form chromosomes. This chromatin material further is composed of DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. The segments of DNA are called genes, and this DNA and proteins, they carry and store all the information which are required to replicate a cell. Apart from the nucleus, any fluid substance that is left inside the plasma membrane is called cytoplasm, and this cytoplasm contains various cell organelles. Now, what are those cell organelles? Let us try to study one by one. The first cell organelle that we will be discussing is endoplasmic reticulum, also written as ER in its shorter version. What is endoplasmic reticulum? Inside the cell, there exists a membranous network enclosing a fluid-filled lumen which almost fills up the intercellular cavity. This membranous network is called endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum is further of two types. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum, also written as RER, and another is smooth endoplasmic reticulum, written as SER. Now this RER, or the rough endoplasmic reticulum, has ribosomes attached on its surface. That is why the outer surface is rough. Now these ribosomes which are attached, we know the function of ribosomes, that is for synthesizing proteins. So RER has ribosomes and therefore it helps in the process of synthesizing proteins. SER, that is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Its surface is smooth because no ribosomes are attached to it. This SER is meant for secreting lipids. Now let us try to relate the functions of ER. Very important. It forms supporting skeletal framework of the cell. This ER provides a pathway for the distribution of nuclear material from one cell to the another. There are certain enzymes which are present in SER which synthesize fats, lipids, steroids, and cholesterol. Rough endoplasmic reticulum is mainly concerned with the transport of proteins which were synthesized by ribosomes on its surface. Quite important function, which is very important. I have seen many questions coming out of this particular point. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum of liver of the vertebrates, it helps in detoxification. This smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or the SER, metabolizes various toxic or poisonous substances, for example drugs or aspirin or insecticides like DDT or petroleum products and other pollutants. These toxic substances which enter in the body of the animals through food, air or water, these are detoxified by SER. So this SER of liver, it is present in liver. It helps in the detoxification of poisonous toxic substances. Very important function of SER. Clear? So these are all about RER and SER. Let us try to relate the differences between the two. Rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Talking about the differences first. The rough endoplasmic reticulum contains flattened sacs called cisternae. But the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it is formed of vesicles and tubules. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, we have ribosomes attached to the outer surface of its membrane, but SER does not contain any ribosomes. The function of RER is to synthesize proteins because of the presence of ribosomes, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is specialized to synthesize lipids and steroids. RER is abundant in exocrine pancreatic cells and antibody secreting plasma cells, whereas SER is abundant in liver and the testicular cells, which are called Leydig cells. There it synthesizes steroidal hormones. So these are a few differences between RER and SER. This is our first cell organelle. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, both are types of ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum. Let us come to the bit of details about the second cell organelle, that is ribosomes. Now these ribosomes are dense, spherical and granular particles, and they occur freely in the matrix, that is the cytosol, or they remain attached to the RER we have just seen. On the surface, outer surface of RER, ribosomes are attached. When we talk about their chemical composition, the major constituents of ribosomes are RNA, ribonucleic acid, and proteins. Lipids are not present in ribosomes. These ribosomes are not bounded by a membrane. They are present both in prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells, and there is an exception to it. And that exception is mammalian RBCs, the red blood cells that we have. Here, ribosomes are not present. What is the function of ribosomes? We have done it just before, that they help in the synthesis of proteins. That is the main function of ribosomes. Clear? Talking about the third cell organelle, that is the Golgi apparatus, or the Golgi bodies, or the Golgi complex, whatever name we can call them with. Now this Golgi apparatus consists of a set of membrane-bounded, fluid-filled vesicles, vacuoles, and flattened cisternae. Cisternae means closed sacs. These cisternae are usually stacked together. That means they are placed one above the another in parallel rows. Right? Now, Golgi apparatus exist as an extensive network near the nucleus in animal cells. In plant cells, it may be freely distributed subunits of Golgi apparatus which are present in plant cells, and they are called dictyosomes. So what are dictyosomes? These are the freely distributed subunits of Golgi apparatus in plant cells. Clear? Very importantly, what are the various functions of Golgi apparatus? The main function is secretory function. They acts as a way station or assembly area for the storage, for the processing, and for packaging of various cellular secretions. One of the most important functions of Golgi apparatus is that it packages the materials which are synthesized in the cell and dispatches them either to intracellular targets such as plasma membrane and lysosomes, or even the extracellular targets like the zymogens. Another function is that it is also involved in the synthesis of cell wall, in the synthesis of plasma membrane, and in the synthesis of lysosomes. Cell wall, plasma membrane, we have already discussed. Lysosomes, just to show you, this is the next thing that we are going to discuss. So these Golgi apparatus are involved in the synthesis, in the formation of cell wall, plasma membrane, and lysosomes. Let us talk about lysosomes now. Very important cell organelle. These lysosomes are simple tiny spherical sac-like structures which are evenly distributed in the cytoplasm throughout the cell. Each of these lysosomes is a small vesicle which is surrounded by a single membrane, and these lysosomes, they contain powerful digestive enzymes. These enzymes are so powerful that they are capable of digesting or breaking down all organic materials. Right? Now, the functions of lysosomes are very important. We have just studied that lysosomes contain very powerful digestive enzymes. So they serve as intracellular digestive system. Because of the presence of these strong, powerful digestive enzymes, and that is why they are called the digestive bags of the cell. Any foreign material which enters the cell is destroyed by these powerful enzymes present in lysosomes. Anything, whether it's a bacteria or virus or any foreign material, that will be destroyed by the powerful digestive enzymes of lysosomes. And so, in one way, they protect the cells from any kind of bacterial infection. Now, second function, quite important yet again, lysosomes also remove the worn out and poorly working cellular organelles. If any particular cellular organelle is worn out or it's not working efficiently, then the powerful digestive enzymes of lysosomes, they digest these kind of worn out, poorly working cellular organelles so that there can be new replacements. So in one way we can say that they remove the cell debris, and that is why they are known as demolition squads. They are also known as scavengers. They are also known as cellular housekeepers. All these are adjectives used with or synonyms used for lysosomes. Clear? Now third one is quite surprising function of lysosomes. If there is any breakdown of cell structure, when the cell as a whole gets damaged, then these lysosomes, they may burst, and the enzymes present in lysosomes eat up their own cells. Therefore, lysosomes are called the suicidal bags of a cell. Just try to relate this with the help of an example. If person X is just stabbing or shooting person Y, this is causing the death of person Y, this is called a murder. But if Y with his own hands he just kills himself by just pushing pressure on his neck, because the hand of Y is itself involved in killing Y, now this is not called murder, this is called suicide. So lysosomes are called the suicide bags of the cell, because just like the hand of Y is killing Y, similarly the lysosomes, hands of the body, that is of the cell, they are actually eating up their own cell. They are killing their own cell. So they are killing the cell of which they themselves were a part. That is why they are called the suicidal bags of the cell. So many synonyms for lysosomes. We have seen they are called the digestive bags of the cell because of the presence of powerful digestive enzymes which are capable of digesting everything. They are called the demolition squad or the scavengers or the cellular housekeepers, because they actually help in removing the worn out cells by digesting them and making new replacements. And they are also known as suicide bags of the cells because they can eat up that particular cell of which they themselves were a part. Clear to all? So this is about lysosomes. Let us come to the next very important cell organelle, that is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is plural, the singular is mitochondrion. These are tiny bodies of varying shapes. They may be cylindrical in shape, they may be rod shaped, or they may be spherical in shape. Their size also differs a lot depending upon various cells, and they are tiny bodies which are distributed throughout the cytoplasm. Their structure is quite important because they are bounded by a double membrane envelope. There are two membrane envelopes surrounding mitochondrion. Outer membrane is porous and the inner membrane is thrown into folds. Now why it is folded, that is quite important. These folds provide an extra area, large area, which is several times the surface of areas of the outer membrane. These internal folds are called cristae. Clear? Now the functions of mitochondrion, very important. These mitochondria are the sites of cellular respiration. They contain strong oxidative enzymes and they use molecular oxygen from air to oxidize the carbohydrates and fats which are present in the cell and convert them to carbon dioxide and water vapor, which we call the process of respiration. This oxidation releases energy and a portion of this energy is used to form ATP. Now what exactly is ATP? ATP is adenosine triphosphate. We all know the full form of it, right? Now because this energy rich compound ATP is synthesized in mitochondria, therefore mitochondria are also called the powerhouse of the cell or the power plant of the cell. And this ATP is generally known as the energy carrier or the energy currency of the cell, right? Very important point in the functions of mitochondria is that mitochondria are able to make some of their own proteins. Because they are able to make their own proteins, they have got their own DNA, their own genetic material, because of which they are able to regenerate themselves. And that is why they are regarded as semi-autonomous organelles. They are partially autonomous, working on their own, because they have got their own DNA and proteins. They have got their own genetic material This is very, very important in mitochondria. Clear? So what important things you need to remember in mitochondria? The double membrane. Inner membrane is deeply folded to provide large surface area for this ATP generation. These inner folds are known as cristae. Mitochondria contain strong oxidative enzymes. They release energy, which is used in the form of ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. This is also known as energy carrier or energy currency of the cell. And very importantly, mitochondria are one of those cell organelles which have got their own genetic material. Clear? So this is all about very important cell organelle, that is mitochondrion. Next we come to plastids. Now these plastids, they occur in most plant cells. They are absent in animal cells. So plastids absent in animal cells. Very important thing is, like mitochondria, plastids also have their own DNA, own ribosomes, own genetic material, right? And that is why they are also self-replicating organelles just like mitochondria. They have the power to divide, they have the power to replicate themselves because of their own genetic material. Now these plastids are further of three types. One are chromoplasts, another are chloroplasts, and the third one are leucoplasts. These chromoplasts are the colored plastids except green color. These green color plastids are the chloroplasts, and leucoplasts are the colorless plastids. Let us discuss them a bit in detail. Chloroplasts have a green pigment called chlorophyll, and we all know, we have been studying since 4th 5th classes, that chlorophyll helps in the process of photosynthesis. How? They absorb the sunlight. Therefore chloroplasts are also called the kitchen of the cells. Got it? For 1 mark questions, these are all the MCQ style questions that you will get. Which cell organelle is called the kitchen of the cells? Which cell organelle is called the digestive bags? Which cell organelle is called the suicidal bags or the scavengers? Right? Which cell organelle is called the factory of ribosomes? These all are important for you to learn, to remember. Clear? So kitchen of the cells, chloroplasts. Now what are the various functions? Let us see one by one. Chloroplasts, they trap the solar energy and utilize it to manufacture food for the plant by the process of photosynthesis. This is chloroplast because they contain chlorophyll. Now when we talk about the other colored plastids, that is chromoplast, they impart various colors to flowers. Why? Because this way they can attract insects for pollination. Talking about leucoplast, they store food in the form of carbohydrates, that is starch, fats and protein. So these are the functions of the various plastids in plants. And let us remind us ourselves once again that these are plastids are just like mitochondria in their structure also, and in their having their own genetic material also. And these plastids are present only in plant cells. They are not present in animal cells. Rest three types, chromoplast, chloroplast and leucoplast, we have studied their functions. The next cell organelles are the vacuoles. Now what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are the fluid filled or solid filled and membrane bounded spaces. They are actually a kind of storage sacs. Now very importantly, in animal cells, the vacuoles, if present, are small and temporary, in which they store water, glycogen and proteins. Talking about in plant cells, the vacuoles are large, they are distinct and they are permanent. If we talk about mature plant cells, then the vacuole occupies almost the entire volume of the cell to the extent of 90%. And because of the central position of a vacuole, the nucleus and the other cell organelles in plant cells are pushed near to the boundary wall. So when we were just taking up the diagrams of animal cell and plant cell, if you remember, I told you in my previous class that the nucleus in animal cells is centrally located. But that centrally located word is not to be used in case of plant cells. Why? Because in plant cells, the nucleus is not centrally located. The nucleus is towards the periphery, towards the boundary wall. Why? Because in plant cells, most of the cell area is actually covered up with the vacuoles. Clear? Now, what are the various functions of vacuoles? Let us try to relate one by one. These vacuoles help to maintain the osmotic pressure in the cell, which is called osmoregulation. These vacuoles are the storage sacs. So they store toxic metabolic byproducts or end products of plant cells. And these vacuoles provide turgidity and rigidity to the plant cells. So these are the functions of vacuoles. Fine. So these are a few cell organelles that we studied in detail. So what are all these cell organelles? Let us try to once again revise and brush up. The very first cell organelle we studied was endoplasmic reticulum. And this endoplasmic reticulum, we saw that was further divided into rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes attached to it and helps in protein synthesis. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, no ribosomes attached. Their function is to secrete lipids. And very importantly, we discussed that in liver cells of vertebrates, they help in the process of detoxification of drugs, etc. Poisonous substances. Clear? Second, we discussed about Golgi bodies or the Golgi apparatus. Their functions we saw that they help in the storage and packaging and transportation of material synthesized in cytoplasm. Another function was they help in the synthesis of cell wall, plasma membrane and lysosomes. The third cell organelle we studied were the lysosomes. Now, what are lysosomes? These lysosomes are the membrane-bound cell organelles which contain strong digestive enzymes capable of digesting anything, breaking anything. These lysosomes are called the suicidal bags. They are called the digestive bags. They are called the scavengers. They are called the housekeepers of the cell. Demolition squad is also used for these lysosomes, right? Fourth, we studied about ribosomes. Ribosomes help in protein synthesis, right? Next, we talked about mitochondria. Now, mitochondria, very important. They contain strong oxidative enzymes which oxidize, helps in cellular respiration, and that is why they are known as powerhouse of the cell or power plant of the cell. Important things to remember in mitochondria: double layer structure, inner layer is deeply folded called cristae, helps in providing large surface area. Mitochondria contain strong oxidative enzymes. Mitochondria is called power plant or powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria has their own genetic material. They have their own proteins, their own DNA, their own ribosomes. So this is quite important as far as mitochondria is concerned. Next cell organelle that we talked about was plastids. They are present only in plant cells, not in animal cells. and these plastids are further divided into three types. One is chromoplast, another is chloroplast, and the third one is the leucoplast. What are these? We just studied. Chromoplast are the colored plastids which impart color to the flowers for attracting insects for pollination. Chloroplast, they contain the green colored pigment chlorophyll, help in the process of photosynthesis by absorbing sunlight. Leucoplast, they are the colorless plastids which acts as storage sacs. Last, we discussed about vacuoles. Now, what are vacuoles? These are mainly storage sacs. Important thing to remember, in animals, these vacuoles, they are smaller in size and they are many vacuoles, right? But in plants, there is one single large vacuole which may be to the extent of up to 90% of the plant cell. Clear? So this is about vacuoles. Very important function is storage, providing turgidity and rigidity, and maintaining the osmotic pressure in the cell. Clear to all? These are all the cell organelles. Now, knowing about all the various types of cell organelles and their functions, let us try to differentiate between the animal cell and the plant cell. Now, animal cells are generally smaller in size, whereas plant cells are larger than the animal cells. Any guesses as to why? The reason is simple, that plant cells contain one extra outer covering, that is cell wall. And that is what our second point of difference is, that in animal cell wall is absent, right? Whereas in plant cell, the plasma membrane is surrounded by a rigid cell wall made up of cellulose. Correct? So, this is the main difference between animal and plants. When we talk about the next difference, in animal cell, plastids are absent except the protozoan Euglena. No animal cell possesses plastids. But in case of plant cells, plastids are present, right? In animal cell, the vacuoles are many in number, they are small and they are temporary. Whereas when we talk about plant cells, most of the mature plant cells have permanent and large centrals have vacuole. Now, animal cells have a highly single, complex and prominent Golgi apparatus, whereas in plant cells we have seen that there are many simpler units, subunits of Golgi apparatus, which are called dictyosomes. Now, animal cells do not have plastids. Animal cells do not have cell wall, which both the things the plant cells have. So, animal cells also compensate with these lackings, as they have centrosome and centrioles, which is lacked in plant cells. Plant cells lack the centrosome and centrioles. So these are a few basic differences between plant cells and animal cells. Now, after taking up the detailed chapter, let us try to remember some important facts about cells. What are these facts? From exam point of view, you need to relate and remember. The smallest cellular organelle is ribosome, whereas the largest cellular organelle in plants is the plastids. The largest cellular organelle in animals is the mitochondria. The largest cell structure is the nucleus. And among all the cell organelles, mitochondria and plastids can replicate themselves. Why they are able to replicate themselves? Because both of them have their own genetic material, that is their own DNA and ribosomes. Ribosomes will help in protein synthesis, which will help in making the body design of the next generation of cells. And DNA already contains all sorts of information required to grow and for the metabolic activities of the cell. Clear? And after taking up all the organelles, let us go back to this particular diagram, which in my previous lecture I told that after discussing about the details of cell organelles, we'll come back to it. Now let us try to relate what are the main cell organelles that we need to relate. There are so many labelings which at the moment we are not required to do. Let us try to relate the main all cell organelles that we studied. Right? First of all, this structure is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This is what we are talking about, animal cells. This is diagram of an animal cell. Right? So we can see these structures. These all structures are basically smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Here we see these lysosomes. We have some free ribosomes. These are some free ribosomes. Right? This stacks one above another. The cisterns containing organelles are Golgi apparatus or Golgi bodies, and we have certain associated Golgi vesicles. We have certain secretory vesicles also. Right? Now, let us try to relate something about the nucleolus. This part is our nuclear envelope that we can see here. This is all the nuclear envelope containing pores or holes into it. This whole part is the nucleus part, and in this nucleus, this centrally located, the largest cell organelle in animal cells, that is nucleus, we have this nucleolus and these thread-like structures which are called chromatin material or chromatin network. This is all the chromatin material. We have got various pores called nuclear pores in the nuclear envelope. I am just marking and circling all the cell organelles side by side so that you are able to relate with the help of these arrows. Correct? Now this kind of structures that we can see in which there is an outer membrane and another deeply folded inner membrane, this is our mitochondria. Right? And in between we have these kind of structures which have dotted rough surface above them. They are rough endoplasmic reticulum. Clear? So these are a few main things, main cell organelles which we need to see and relate when it comes to animal cells. Now let us try to relate the plant cells. Now in plant cells, we have already seen the outer covering, that is the cell wall, the inner covering, that is the plasma membrane. Here we see that this particular nucleus is to the boundary, to the walls. This whole is the nucleus, in which once again we have got the nuclear envelope containing two nuclear membranes. In between we see there are nuclear pores. Then in the center we have got nucleolus and the thread-like structures known as the chromatin material. Clear? This is what we see is the endoplasmic reticulum. Now very importantly, we have this large one, single, so much extended, the largest part of the cell, that is the vacuole. It is because of this vacuole only that all the cell organelles and the nucleus of plant cell that moves towards the boundary of the cells, towards the walls of the cell. These dotted ones, this we have got some free ribosomes. Once again, the same structure having dotted ribosomes attached to the surface is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. These, the deeply inner folded layers, they are the mitochondria. Very importantly, these plant cells contain many different cell organelles. One is chloroplast. This is the chloroplast, right? Having a chloroplast envelope, and in this chloroplast we have granum, in which you must have studied that thylakoids, the stacks are present. Then the Golgi apparatus is not as large as a single unit. We see that the Golgi apparatus has subunits like this and like this. These are called dictyosomes or the Golgi apparatus. And we got one another structure which is present only in plant cells, that is chloroplast. We have seen the chloroplast that is present only in this plant cells. So these are the various important things. Apart from that also we see the labelings like middle lamella and microtubules and microfilaments. They are all different parts. We are just rightly concerned in this chapter. We are focusing and concerning about only the cell organelles. Clear? So this is about our plant cell, animal cell, and this is all about the chapter fundamental unit of life. I hope you all must have understood whatever is taught. Lot of learning part, a bit of understanding part, quite many differences, whether it is between diffusion and osmosis, whether it is about hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic solutions, whether it is about prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell differences. Then we studied the differences between cell membrane and cell wall. We studied the differences between the animal cells and the plant cells, differences between rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So these differences are very important. Then the adjectives, synonyms of various cell organelles. What all we have studied? The ribosome factory or factory of ribosomes. Then we talked about the secretory organelle of the cell. Secretory organelle of the cell is Golgi bodies. Then we talked about the suicidal bags of the cell, lysosomes. Scavengers of the cell, lysosomes. Right? And the housekeepers of the cell, lysosomes again. The demolition squads, lysosomes. The digestive bags of the cell, again lysosomes. The powerhouse of the cells or the power plants of the cell, that is mitochondria, right? So these all we need to relate. The energy currency of the cell, ATP, full form of RNA, full form of DNA, full form of ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and ATP, adenosine triphosphate. You need to remember. Clear to all? So now, since the chapter is over, what you are required to do is you are required to learn all the details, definitions, differences, functions of each and everything. And in the next class, we'll be once again going through all the related questions from this particular chapter that we have already encountered and seen in the examination, or that we possibly may get. Clear to all? So let's meet in the next class with the question answers of fundamental unit of life. Till then, take care of yourself. Have a great time. Thank you so much.